They weren't movie stars or politicians, yet their names built Georgia's skyline, fed its people and shaped its culture. Behind the mansions, foundations and family crests lie stories of struggle, ambition and faith, dynasties born from dirt, print and perseverance. Some built empires from cotton and ink, others from sandwiches, pest control and power itself. They rose quietly, generation after generation, turning failure into fortune and legacy into law. But every empire hides a price. Secrets buried beneath philanthropy and pride. Their wealth didn't just change Georgia, it rewrote the meaning of success in the South. From forgotten plantations to billion-dollar boardrooms, these are the richest old money families in Georgia, and the untold stories behind their enduring reign. In the number 10 position, we have a dynasty whose fortune was built not just on wealth, but on memory itself. The Renne family of Savannah, Georgia, lived between the pages of history, curators of power disguised as collectors of the past. Their grand estates whispered of privilege, yet their true treasure lay in something far greater than gold, in the archives, manuscripts, and rare books that shaped how the South remembered itself. Born from plantation prosperity, G.W.J. Renne turned family influence into cultural immortality, preserving stories that defined Georgia's identity. Behind every artifact was the quiet echo of power, the kind that outlives its owners. But as fortunes faded and empires fell, their legacy endured, hidden within libraries and museums. And yet, even among Georgia's old money elites, there were families whose wealth reached far beyond history, into industries that reshaped the modern South. In the number 9 position, we meet a family whose name became a landmark, the Telfairs of Savannah. Their story began with ambition, politics, and the power to shape an entire city. Edward Telfair, a Scottish immigrant turned governor, built not just wealth but legacy, his fortune rising on land, trade, and the pulse of an emerging Georgia. Yet behind the marble walls and manicured gardens lay a quieter truth, the burden of maintaining greatness through generations. Mary Telfair, his daughter, carried the name into immortality, transforming her inheritance into art, culture, and philanthropy. The Telfair Academy still stands as proof that even in a world ruled by money, beauty can become a currency of its own. But beyond Savannah's genteel charm, another Georgia dynasty was already turning the hum of textile mills into a river of enduring wealth, one that would define Southern enterprise forever. In the number 8 position, we find a family whose legacy was woven from the threads of Georgia's soil, the Callaway family. Their story began in the cotton fields of LaGrange, where enterprise met endurance. From humble beginnings, they built textile mills that pulsed with the rhythm of Southern industry, transforming raw fiber into a fortune that clothed generations. Yet behind every loom and ledger was a family guided by faith, community, and quiet power. Cason Callaway's vision stretched beyond profit. He created Callaway Gardens, a living sanctuary of nature and grace that turned wealth into wonder. Theirs was old money reborn in purpose, wealth that breathed instead of glittered. But as the looms fell silent and new industries rose, another Georgia dynasty would turn communication itself into an empire, a family whose influence reached not only across states, but across the airwaves of America. In the number 7 position stands the Cox family, a dynasty built not on cotton or land, but on information itself. Their story began in 1898, when James M. Cox bought a struggling newspaper in Ohio. That single decision would grow into one of America's most powerful media empires, with its heart anchored in Atlanta. From radio to television and later to digital networks, the Cox name became synonymous with communication, control, and quiet wealth. Through every decade, they adapted, turning headlines into influence and influence into legacy. While others flaunted their fortunes, the Cox family built theirs behind boardroom doors and satellite towers, shaping how Georgia and the nation saw the world. Yet even amid the glow of media dominance, another Southern empire was quietly rising, one that turned a small chicken sandwich into a billion-dollar testament to faith, discipline, and generational wealth. In the number 6 position, we step into the story of the Cathy family, a dynasty born from a humble diner and built on faith, service, and unshakable conviction. It began in 1946, when Truett Cathy opened a small restaurant in Hapeville, Georgia. No one could have imagined that his simple chicken sandwich would one day feed nations. But Truett's secret wasn't just the recipe, it was discipline, values, and the belief that business could serve a higher purpose. Chick-fil-A became more than a fast food chain. It became a cultural force guided by family leadership across generations. Every decision, from closing on Sundays to nationwide expansion, carried the weight of legacy. The Cathys didn't just build a company, they built a creed. And yet, while their empire soared, another Georgia fortune was forming. One forged not in kitchens, but in the blueprints of home improvement itself. In the number 5 position, we meet the Marcus family, a dynasty that turned hammers and nails into symbols of vision and empire. It began in 1978, when Bernie Marcus, alongside Arthur Blank, founded the Home Depot. What started as a simple warehouse for tools soon became a revolution in how America built, renovated, and dreamed. But behind the orange aprons and endless aisles was a story of resilience, of a man once fired who turned failure into fortune. The Marcus family's wealth grew with every home repaired, every neighborhood transformed. Yet their legacy wasn't measured in profit alone. Through the Marcus Foundation, they poured millions into hospitals, veterans programs, and communities, proving that wealth could heal as much as it built. Still, as Home Depot flourished, another family within its walls was preparing to carve its own empire, one destined to reshape sports, business, and philanthropy in Georgia. In the number 4 position, we find the Blank family, a dynasty whose empire grew from the same roots as the Home Depot, yet branched into a legacy all its own. Arthur Blank, co-founder of the retail giant, transformed his success into something larger than commerce, a vision for community, culture, and pride. From his early days stacking shelves to becoming one of America's most respected billionaires, Blank's story is a testament to purpose beyond profit. Through his ownership of the Atlanta Falcons and Atlanta United, he turned sports into a unifying language for the state, while the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation redefined modern philanthropy in Georgia. His fortune built stadiums, parks, and hope itself. And yet, in the quiet corridors of Atlanta's old wealth, another family's power was growing. One whose empire began not with products or headlines, but with something much smaller and far more enduring. In the number 3 position, we uncover the Rollins family, a dynasty that turned something as small as a pest into an empire of colossal proportions. Their story began with Orkin, a pest control company that grew into Rollins Incorporated, one of America's most quietly powerful corporations. From humble service routes to a billion-dollar global network, the Rollins family mastered the art of building wealth through persistence, precision, and patience. Their empire expanded into media, energy, and real estate, yet they remained deliberately understated, the kind of old money that moves in silence but shapes cities. Behind their fortune lies an ethos of endurance, a belief that legacy is built not in moments, but in maintenance. Still, as their quiet empire thrived, another Georgia dynasty was climbing higher, a family whose influence stretched from airwaves to politics, shaping not just fortunes, but public perception itself. In the number 2 position, we meet 2 dynasties whose fortunes defined Georgia's modern identity, the Cox and Cathy families. One commanded the airwaves, the other conquered America's appetite. The Cox family built a media empire that shaped minds, while the Cathys built a culinary kingdom that shaped culture. Both rose from local ambition to national dominance, turning vision into inheritance and legacy into law. Their stories ran parallel. Different industries, same values, discipline, innovation, and faith in family continuity. The Cox family guarded privacy and influence. The Cathys nurtured loyalty and faith. Together they represent the soul of Georgia's old money, powerful, reserved, yet omnipresent. But even among giants there stands one dynasty whose fortune eclipses them all. A family whose empire began with a sandwich and became a symbol of generational power, discipline and devotion across the American South. In the number 1 position, we arrive at the pinnacle of Georgia's wealth, the Cathy family, architects of the Chick-fil-A empire. What began in a small diner called the Dwarf Grill became a billion-dollar legacy rooted in faith, consistency, and conviction. Truett Cathy built more than a business. He built a belief system, one where integrity outweighed convenience and Sundays were sacred. Each generation carried that torch, expanding Chick-fil-A into one of America's most profitable private companies. Their empire thrives without stockholders or scandals, just a legacy managed by family, guarded by principle. Through philanthropy, education and community service, they've shaped not only the economy but Georgia's moral fabric. And yet, behind every fortune lies a lesson: that true old money isn't measured in dollars, but in endurance. The Cathy family didn't just build wealth, they built a dynasty that time itself can't dethrone.